Could we encourage members and our guests to take their seats, please? Chair has declared that there is a quorum present. So the first item this morning is for the purpose of meeting to consider the committee's annual budget views and estimates for the fiscal year 2020 in accordance with the requirements of Section 301D of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974 and Rule X, Clause 4F. This document will help ensure that the Budget Committee is fully able to accommodate our committee's priorities within the overall congressional budget resolution. I want to thank Ranking Member Brady for working with me on this document so that we are able to submit a consensus document to the Budget Committee that reflects the priorities of the Ways and Means Committee as a whole. While we certainly will have policy differences in many areas, I think it's important that we find common ground on institutional matters such as this. Our committee has important work ahead of us to address the needs of the American family. Hardworking American families have been falling behind despite strong economic growth, and it is our job to make sure that the middle class and those working to climb into the middle class have a level playing field and real opportunities to get ahead. To accomplish this goal, the committee will consider trade and tax legislation that will benefit middle-class Americans and small business. Our policies will address the challenges presented by the stagnant wage growth in America, as well as in the face of rising costs of basic necessities like housing, health care, and education. We will work to build on America's Affordable Care Act success in expanding access to affordable health care for everyone, including those with pre-existing conditions, and address barriers to health care like high prescription drug costs and surprise medical billing. We will continue to protect Medicare and Social Security to ensure that they remain the foundation of economic security for retirees and for families that lose a breadwinner to death or severe disability. And we will advance legislation to help all Americans achieve a more secure retirement. We will tackle the structural barriers that are preventing many Americans from reaching the middle class, things like the lack of affordable child care, paid family leave and medical leave, skills gap, the cost to our country of so many children growing up in poverty. So before I close, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that this year's budget process will be particularly challenging, but we all knew that. In addition to a significant drop in revenue caused by the tax bill, the recent partial government shutdown had a negative impact on GDP, which may affect revenue and significantly disrupt the tax filing season. We also cannot lose sight of the economic damage caused by the shutdown, the disruption of services to individuals, farmers, and businesses, and the threat of financial ruin for hardworking federal employees and contractors who will likely witness long-term effects. I look forward to working with all of you at the Budget Committee to craft a budget that supports our committee's work and the other work that this Congress must do for the American people. And with that, let me turn to Ranking Member Brady for his opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Neal, for holding this markup today. And I especially want to thank the Chairman for working with us Republicans to create a consensus on this year's views and estimates for our committee. This markup may seem like another routine box we need to say we checked off in order to function as a committee, but the truth is that this budget is crucial to laying out the work we hope to accomplish this year. Our committee's jurisdiction covers nearly every aspect of our economy, from the tax code to trade to important programs like Medicare and Social Security. Our committee's jurisdiction in laying out the budget for this year allows us to be able to work together to continue growing our economy while improving workers' and families' lives. Thanks to our new pro-growth tax code led by members of this committee, our economy is roaring back. We have 3% growth, hasn't happened in more than a decade. Half a century low unemployment, the fastest level of wage growth in a decade, and over 7 million job openings, more job openings than unemployed. The U.S. is finally out of the sluggish days that just a few years ago, many were saying were the new normal for our country. Republicans on this committee look forward to building on this success throughout this Congress. We hope that on a bipartisan basis, we can send to the President's desk legislation focused on encouraging more retirement savings, infrastructure, lowering out-of-pocket costs for drug prices, strengthening America's workforce, and bipartisan restructuring the IRS, which passed the House 3 times last year. We've seen these past few years that when Washington gets out of the way, and when we instead give our local job creators and families the tools they need, folks truly are better off and can succeed. We know the work still remains to continue to boost American competitiveness, to make health care truly more affordable, and to boost paychecks even further for all of our workers across our country. So passing today's budget will allow us to begin that important work. Once again, I thank the chairman for working with us to reach consensus. I strongly urge all of my colleagues to adopt this. And as a point of personal privilege, Mr. Chairman, I would like to note that Michaela Carr, our general counsel and parliamentarian who's done just a remarkable job for us, is leaving us tomorrow to go to Leader McCarthy's office. And I just wanted to tell her thank you for great work, great professionalism, and great leadership on our committee. Thank you, Michaela.
And the majority certainly agrees with your point, Mr. Brady. So the committee will now proceed to consideration of the committee views and estimates for fiscal year 2020. Without objection, the views will be considered as read and open for amendment at any point. Is there anyone who wishes to strike the last word? Are there any amendments to the budget views and estimates? With that, let me recognize Mr. Larson for the purpose of making a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee adopt the committee budget views and estimates for the fiscal year 2020.
The question is on the adoption of the Ways and Means Committee budget views and estimates for fiscal year 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it, and the views and estimates are agreed to. Does anybody wish to have a roll call vote? Hearing none, the committee views and estimates are agreed to. That concludes our business. I hope the next hearing goes as well. And members are reminded that we will promptly reconvene at 10:30 for the purpose of a very important hearing. And without objection, the committee is adjourned.